So when I was designing Tivus, there was a lot of thought play go into it, and to see memories as like a not memories as such. We also have this like a mirror. It's almost like we can't see. It's like we're looking at our memories from a distance. It almost seems within. And it's much like a sheet of glass versus how memories get projected to it, but it's a bit like a mirror. So as you can see, if you can look on the camera, can you see the glass?
Yeah.
But you can also choose to look through it.
Yes.
So being able to look through it towards the mirror, that is your sight, the outside world with your eyes open.
Yeah.
When you're studying on your memories, you're looking at almost like a sheet of glass. Yes?
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is you can do this with your eyes open or closed. So if you think about a daydream, you're perhaps somewhere, you're staring off, and then you start to envision whatever it may be that you've got that current daydream at the time.
Yeah.
And then you begin to see something and your memories begin to play, and they sort of come over your vision. Well, that's close to hallucination, which is very similar. But you haven't stopped looking through the glass, but you've sort of blurred out.
Yeah.
If you've ever noticed that if you were to look at a double glazed window and you look through the window, which, like, I can choose to look through the glass and look at this part here, yes?
Yeah.
But I don't know if my eyes will do it. But when I look at the glass, my eyes cross. Yes?
Yeah.
And when you start to go into a daydream, your vision begins to blur. And you almost seem to start setting back a little bit. Have you experienced this for yourself?
Yes, sort of glass look you have on. I don't know how else to describe.
You sort of go into a trance. And for me, it was very fascinating. I used to love dipping in between this, zooming in, zooming out, going into memory, and then shooting back into reality. Memory, reality, back and forth. I like that a lot. And even with my eyes open, staring sort of thing, and then it's so strong, the memories that I'm pulling forward, or it's almost, I like to call it awakened dreaming. So if I really want to get deep in thought, I can turn this on and off like a tap very quickly. But I often look like you're looking at a piece of glass. It's really weird. But you can also do this with your eyes open. And even if I was to close my eyes, I could still see, but it just changes the background. And which ones would you say are more hypnotic to you? I often find for myself that it's more hypnotic for me if I've got my eyes open. And you then have to focus more on, I don't know if you notice it, that the whole of reality seems to just disappear. It's still there, your eyes are open, light's still coming in, but it's the backdrop. It's the backdrop. And different coloured rooms also trigger more stronger memories, or if you're, is it called fantasizing? No, it's not fantasizing, because that's more fantasy, but it is fantasy. Everything that we look at, a house has been built out of a fantasy. Anything that's ever been created is like a fantasy, right? It's not real. And then you create it, and then all of a sudden then it becomes in the reality. It's duality, it's the inside world, where it's combining. Two worlds combining. This is almost like two worlds combining. So it's very interesting to me now. And one more that's quite interesting to me. I've got to turn the light off to do this one. So I'll put a torch on first. But with regards to the mirror, Do you ever hear that 30% of light in a mirror, they say, disappears?
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yes, I have.
The light that hits into the mirror, and is it refract or reflect, either or, bit of both probably. They say 30% disappears. It doesn't. It actually scatters across the mirror, even if you go closer to it. Do you see how the mirror is lit up?
Yeah.
Well, the light is scatting across the mirror. See how I'm still making a shadow? Even though we're quite pressed up. Even if we press up quite close, yes? I can still see you in the reflection of the mirror. The light is still scatting down here, even though it's pressed up against it. So the light is traveling across the mirror. Yes?
Yeah.
And the rest of it is bounced out across the wall opposite. And if you look at the wall opposite you with the camera, you'll see these scratches here and here.
Yeah.
But do you see how you can see the whole of the mirror?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That means that the light, about 30% of the light is coating the entirety of the mirror, even though the light beam is strongest here, which you can see it on the wall. If you see it, it's slightly yellower in one part than it is the rest.
Yeah, it is.
But also, around the edges of the mirror is also slightly more illuminated than the rest. Do you see it? It's like a yellowing. Look over this side.
Yeah, the camera.
Do you see the yellowing here?
Yeah, the camera sees it probably different than my eyes,
but it's more, it would almost seem that the light is more stronger.
Yeah, it is.
So it's crashing into the sides, is what I would say.
Yeah.
So light scatter. Anyway, so what's that got to do with it? Well, it's almost like on that piece of glass that we have in our minds. It's much like this. That's why I like to sit with this here for a second. If I can get that to hold on its own. If it breaks, it doesn't matter. I'll clear it up. But it's almost like our memories and hallucination, if you want to call it that, are coming from behind us and hitting the glass. And reality is coming in and also hitting the glass. And this wouldn't be glass, it would technically be a sensor plate. A part where we can see both sides. So we can see reality and we can see, and it's almost like whatever it is, all of the colour display and whatnot that then starts to build into a picture or an image that you forcefully think about is projected from behind you, and you are sitting in an awareness seat with this coming from behind, hitting the same sensor plate. And that's why I think that you can see it from both sides, because you have to, there's something else that you can do, right? Which this is going to be a bit interesting. I don't know whether I can get it to come up on the actual camera. I'm not sure if I can. Yes, I can. I think I will be able to. So you can either choose to look through the glass, you can look at the glass, or you can look at the front of the glass, or the back of the glass. Does it come up on the camera? Can you tell which side is what? So if we focus on this one is on the front, this one is on the back. If you look at a piece of glass long enough, you can see what's on this side versus what's on this side. Would you like to try that yourself for me right now? If you have a look at this piece of glass and you look at it, can you see the front of the glass? And can you choose to look at the back? You can look through it and see the back, and you can look at it and see the front. Let me draw this, because what I've done is I've made this aware in your mind, right? So have a look at this. So you can see that that is drawn there.
Yeah, when there is something on the glass, it's easier for me. If there is a,
When there's something on the glass?
Yeah, when you are like washing windows or something, then you notice that there is a spot that's from outside or inside, and you can look and you see that it's on that side.
And we're going to admit that that's not double glazed.
No.
So I think you're characteristically talking about a double glazed window?
Not necessarily,
Not
because
necessarily.
at home you are washing also cupboards and they have simple glass.
Yeah. So it's where you draw your focus to.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to daydream while your eyes are open, you have to be able to focus on the back side of the glass, more so than looking through it. Mm-hmm. Or in your aspect, you're not technically looking through it, because that would mean that something's coming out of your body and pulling in reality. But the image projects onto something. Mm-hmm. Yes? So it seems like whatever is in our minds is like it's a thick piece of something, let's say, I like to say glass, and whatever it is from our imagination is coming from behind and hitting the screen, and reality is coming from the front, hitting the front side of the screen, and where you draw your focus. So, like I said, I like the cusp. I love the cusp, where you transition from, so if you're doing this at school, most kids daydream in a school. This is it, a teacher will say, hey,
wake up.
Come back to earth. And you just sort of, you zoned in and out there. I like that coming back from one and looking through the other. Now, if you can teach yourself to do this, there will be some strange things that happen. One, if you ever pay attention to things that spin and you're focused on just before you get into imagination, that rotation will begin to go the other way. Yeah. And then when you transition back in, it will go back the correct way. Transition out, it goes in reverse. Transition in, whatever that is, that's very strange. But it almost seems that the human essence is sat with everything seems to be... So if I was looking at one way reality, it seems like I'm sat the other way, and one way is another and another. I like to build in imagination, which I find very fascinating. And I was hearing that something in death, a part of the mind that is responsible for memories, activates. Although it wasn't a study that was done under controlled setting. So shades of grey. However, if you're saying that part of the brain is active, without the glass, the awareness field, then it wouldn't show you anything in that aspect, because you would need it to travel. So if this is responsible for memory, and I was to wear an EEG machine, I believe it's known as, not 100%, then there should be, when I transition into this, it should pick up in this EEG machine, that part of the brain that is responsible for memories, because, I don't know, if I'm in that area, now there's two types of memory. One is the memory of what happened, and then that same memory that's playing back, you can also add into it. Have you ever noticed that? So you can think back of a memory, can you change the memory?
Yeah.
But it always goes back to default. What's the default? The default is how you always remembered it, right? The correct version. But you can change it. A great thing just before you fall asleep, every single night, if you could manifest money by thinking about it and being positive and living rich and all the rest of it, yes, then I would already be a gazillionaire, if it's such a thing. Yeah. I would be a lot of things by now just on that, because every single day, I should say night, at the end of the day or just before going to sleep, the way I go to sleep is I spend probably about an hour in that imagination area. And I know how the day progressed, as what it's gone through in the day. I lived it. And then at the end, I will make that story in a different way, of how the way I would have liked it to have gone. And that's kind of really weird, because you are controlling all of the characters in that. So if I spent a day at school and perhaps I got told off, that would go in a different way. Yeah. That would be more praised instead of this. If I went for a day where I had lost some money, I would be switching that to be finding money. And if that is the process at the end of the day, scientists say that the brain has a way of trying to unpack the information that has been harbored in the day, then I'm quite a wealthy individual, really ego in that. I'm not going to lie, there's an awful lot of you are the biggest hero than you are in reality. In fact, that side of the realm of my life, because you always live a life within a life.
Yeah.
Or it's really weird, right?
Uh-huh.
So you've got your imagined life and you've got your actual life of how it goes every day. And sometimes when it's been a real shit day, I can't wait to get home and just start to drift off and change all of that that's happened. And if the brain can't tell the difference between the two, you know, if I've had a really shit day and I'm sitting there going through this as to the way, you know, it's always in real time. It's you get to play with all the characters. After all, it's your own mind. You get to do what you want. But visualizing and reoccurring themes such as here's one. This is going to sound really weird. I've got a particular car that I have that I drive if I go somewhere. I fly things as well. I don't like to drive in my dreams. Do you know what I prefer to do? It's not a dream because I'm not actually asleep. I can get up any minute and just have a conversation with you and then just sort of, you know. Sometimes when watching TV in real time, when you're getting all of this information come in, I'm translating that into a way that is, you know, it's all very ego because it is me. This is coming into me. No one on the outside world is going to say, you can't do that. I am going to do it. And I would recommend that anybody else does it as well, you know. I'm sure other people do this. I love to build things there as well. And sometimes I just think bollocks to it. I'm just going to see how it all pans out. So there's factual, what's happened in the day, could play back. There is my forced controlled version of it, all on this screen, playing out the way I wanted it to play, and it's really great. And then perhaps after an hour of this, I don't realize it. I'm asleep. I go really deep into sleep. And or there's one where do what you want. It feels like it does what it wants. So it's almost like a piece of glass there, which struck me as quite odd with this whole, when you watch somebody who passes on, it's guaranteed to happen to all of us. So that there's this activation of the brain. I think there's an awful lot more than just the activation going on. I think that the parts of when we begin to leave are a lot more, happens more than we are aware of in the run-up to. And I think that those be looked at as the final moments, but I think that there's an awful lot going on as this progresses. And if this is responsible for memories, I've been on the road to, for me personally, it felt like things were not going well for myself at one particular stage, twice. And some beautiful stuff starts to take place, yes. The thing is, I've never seen anything like that before, and it would be very unique for me to even think that stuff up on the spot, especially at a most distracting and very interesting moment. The last moment of my life, I'm making up all of this shit as I'm then leaving, right? It just seems, and I'm creating stuff that's never been thought of before in my mindset. I can tell you what, it left a lot of stuff for, because it didn't go that way. It almost started unwinding. There was some other stuff that come from that as well that was, there seemed to be a bit of telepathy there. Is it telepathic? Wait, no, it seems like there was a third person perspective that seemed to know what was going to happen to myself and also what was going to happen to somebody else who ended up saving my life, and one person was not saving my life, let's put it that way. They were being a bastard. And as I took that was going to happen, the third person perspective, third thing perspective, because I can't call it person, those person, it knew what was going to happen next. Now you could say that was me, and in psychology that was just a good way of trying, it becomes triangular. It knew how to reassure me and tell me something that somebody else was going to do that then happened, unless I was delayed at hearing what was happening and the situation in my reality was slow, so slow that it came through later. It had to go through that bit again. It didn't. Again, having individuals around me that then I ask afterwards about that, it was a different time ratio. So I already knew that before the call happened, and then checking a call record, it wasn't like it was delayed. You know, I tried to figure this out because if you could tap into that third person perspective, then, and it be you, me, then that would be psychic. You would want to tap into that. Trust me, anyone would want to tap into that because you would know, perhaps pointless stuff. You probably wouldn't know how lottery balls were going to fall.
Yeah.
But you would know what people were thinking. You would know what they were going to do before they did it. And therefore, when you said something, you would know what they were going to do before they done it. And therefore would already be able to be answering them as they're answering you, which would wow them. Actually, it would confuse anybody. How the hell did you know I didn't say it? But the good thing is with that, people think while they talk, and when you talk over while they're explaining, they think you heard it. But do you know that it would be the holy grail to be able to hack into that if it was part of you? As I think it was some psychologist said that, the third person perspective is this and this, and this is known to walk people out of dangerous situations that have gone and been lost and seem to know the way.
Oh yeah, there are stories, aren't there?
Well, I can say I can relate to that. Obviously not being lost in the wilderness somewhere, but for me, it was going downhill. I was leaving the planet.
Yeah.
So there was an awful lot. Life was winding down.
Yeah.
Was it scary? No, it wasn't really. It was very, very calming. It didn't matter, to be honest. It did. There was a part where it was building up. It kind of mattered for a bit. And then in the end, there was surrender. There was a sort of surrendering happened. Not surrender. And with that came this euphoric relaxation. One that I can't really explain. And it wasn't just all in the mind. It was the heart. It was the gut. It was quite an area. Things seemed to really start It was almost like another existence began to take over this existence, if I had to explain it in a way. It was almost like something was replacing this.
Yeah.
Much like the fade into the daydream, out of the daydream, the duality, if you like. There are quite a few things where we resonate in many different ways, of one to the other and this, that and the other. There are some things on this subject I won't go into. It just saves you from being labelled. That's not fear the label, but maybe when I have left this world, there'll be a release on this stuff. But until then, nah, you're all right, thanks. You'll have to wait until after. And anyway, at the end of the day, everybody is going to experience it. They'll say that some people do, some people don't. Yeah, I can understand that. I think there's a very good reason as to why that would occur. And so there was almost like a fading out of one, much like a daydream, and a tuning into another. One that was becoming more and more aware. Your awareness was shifting from this to this was fading out, and this other awareness was starting to take center stage. It didn't progress all of the way, but I saw enough to saw enough to know.
Yeah.
If that, I know that sounds, you will perhaps know this one day. That's the only thing I can say. You will perhaps become very aware of this.
Yeah.
Depends on how you transition from one to the other. And it's interesting. And it's very colourful. Oh, it's more colourful than you can understand, and bright colour. This is dim. To start, it was almost like I say, one was fading out and one was waxing in, and it seemed to have taken over. Like I said, there was something of unfamiliar voice to me, and I should say voices, although this probably sounds a little crazy. Unfamiliar, I don't recognize those voices. They seem to know stuff. And as they were speaking, it was like in my mind, but also it began to get louder in my ears, almost like it was sort of like a hear. I don't know how to explain that. So could you assume that you have ears in the life after, or the higher plane? It just seemed to talk to both at the same time, not like you experience now. So when you talk to me, I hear you with my ears. But this seemed to speak within and outside at the same time, and it almost seemed to take over the inside and the outside. Almost seemed to become one. Is the best way I can explain it. It almost seemed, but the color, the fucking color. Oh my days, the intensity of the color, and like I said, it petered around an area, and they were very adamant that it's not my time to leave. Very adamant in my way of understanding that, and that there was a lot of things take over that they were doing, and as they were saying this, somebody else who was nothing to me, a doctor, started acting out what they had just said, which really calmed me down even further. It made me relax even more under the circumstances, and it sort of held with me. Now, to me, it didn't seem very long from when I was talking to this particular doctor, but when I put the phone down, they were at my door. But it was impossible. There must have been time, because from how far they had to get to mine from where they were on the phone. So it was almost like I was suspended in this limbo stage, and it didn't go away just like that. The effects took a while. I'm talking months before it started to really start to transition out back into this one. And it became very depressing here. It's the only way I can explain it. It became very dingy, very boring, shit, unhappy. I can't explain it. Like depressed. Like someone had turned down a brightness contrast. No. You see, I can't compare this to anything because I haven't seen anything with that aliveness before. I was seeing things, but I was and I wasn't. It was almost like it was projecting onto the screen, but it was almost like you were beginning to turn around inside yourself, begin to face the mirror. Or perhaps a reality is behind you, but you can't see it. It's weird, man. You see it on a mirror. It was almost like you were spinning within. I didn't manage to turn all the way around, and it was almost like this snapping back, looking back, this strength of a signal. I don't know. It's like it was getting strong, very stronger, and it just sort of like kept snapping in. It was all very quick to come about. But it took a long time for reality to. I don't even know which one was reality, to be honest. And no, did I have anything spiked in my... I think I was poisoned, so I don't know whether there was But again, on the lead up to this, it wasn't like this happened over a course of a week, perhaps 2 weeks actually, I don't know. Whenever it was when I first initially went to the doctor saying something's not right. Oh yeah, you have this rash coming up. So I think that then I was being laced with some stuff. There was just some cues looking back that I believe, with the amount of puking and oh man, it's very bad.
Every day something maybe.
I think someone was doing something, and without an investigation, I'll never know. So. And no one seemed to take it very seriously because they blame it on something else. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's very complex. It's a hard thing to prove, I think. It's very complicated, all right? Don't underestimate it. It's not like there wasn't any lack of trying to the services that were around, and I wasn't very forthcoming because I was a little bit taken over with, wow, what the fuck has just happened, right? So, and it hadn't gone. It didn't go away for a very long time. And, it seemed to slowly, and I don't know why it's slowly. Yeah. It tried that tried to sort of when you start to move over into something like this, I didn't just have third person perspective as hearing something. I was feeling something in terms of feeling, like not like in an inner feeling, like for the first time, your heart works in a lovey state, getting loved up. The mind is working at its optimal. You just everywhere just felt the butterfly sensation at its peak, like you've never felt before. So all of these things going on overdrive. These types of emotion, if you want to say that. It's not on overdrive, and also this visualization as well. So, if that is death, or what people would call death, it's fucking beautiful. It's very hard for me to say that, isn't it? It's very...
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
It's one of the most beautifulest things you'll ever go through. You'll think life is everything? Nah, it's nothing. This is fuck all. This is just fucking horrible, to be honest. That's my... I got a lot of reasons to stay here. That's something in it to say that. And without these things, I would not be here. I wouldn't be here. By choice. I'm making that very clear. So if anyone's like, "Oh, are you suicidal?" No. I take that subject very seriously. To my cousin and different things, and a few others in my life that have done that, and. Successfully, I should say, unfortunately successfully, but do I get terribly hung up on that? No, because if they experience that, then they're in a wonderful place. I think you're very unlucky if you get between the two. It's quite a... waning back into this one. God, it sucks, man. Like, it's very dim. It's not very vibrant in colour. It's almost like it's alive. The light is alive. The colour is alive. It's lovingly, caressingly, feelingly activating. It's fucking hard to explain it. It really is. And what you're capable of doing is, it feels like an awful lot more than what you can hear. Here, it seems like we are all limited. It's very limited. It's like glow sticks, but if you imagine, if you could take out all the liquids out of a glow stick, here's the best way I can do it, of all those vibrant colours, imagine those colours being at 10%, 1%, 0.1%, 10%, whatever, and you tip all of that a luminous colour of green in one cup, purple in another cup, yellow, red, green, blue, purple, indigo, violet, and more colours than I can label, to be honest. And you could put those into loads of cups, and then you throw them up into a dark room, all of them into the air. And in that mid-air, you take a picture or a video of it, and then put it into slow motion, I guess is the way. that doesn't even do it justice. That makes it seem so corny. But imagine that glow. But you'd have to be in a dark room. This wasn't dark.
As children, we dream about colors like that in the dark, and
I don't know about kids. I've done this all my life.
Yeah, I know,
it's
but
still nowhere near like that. It's like that, but more than that. Like the color ratio is so much pure. It's like its purest form, and it's like our eyes just don't see it very clearly, right? The eyes are good tools, they're very good tools at seeing the world, but they are limited to what they can see and how they can see it. And the mind is limited to how it processes that color and information. Although it does a fucking good job of it, right? It does a really good job to show you that this is red. It does a really good job of that. But it's limited. And somehow I feel that this is not the actual color that we're meant to be seeing. If we had better eyes that were attached to a better brain, this would become more to its purest form. But we just can't see it like that because our eyes do the job, but we're limited. Although awoken, we're very limited. Very, very limited. And again, I have never done hallucinogenics before, but I've known people to do them, and I've been around people that have done them, and I'm like, what do you see, sort of thing. And I don't know whether you see mesmerizing colour. I don't know. I've just heard some people say that reality gets a bit strange. But what if that was like, and then someone will say, well, that's a chemical reaction that's doing this, this, and this. But if you have done that, I've never heard of anyone say, oh, I can hear something talking to me. I've never heard anyone come out with that live whilst they, it's their thing. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh God, but to avoid peer pressure, I'll say, how about I stay sober and I'll just look after you lot. Yeah, make sure you don't do anything silly, like, get fascinated with a car or something, on a road or whatever it may be. Yeah, go on then, because if not, it'll be a lot of peer pressure. It's not that I couldn't take it, I could, but, somewhere along the line you didn't want to lose the group sort of thing, but I wasn't really interested in that sort of thing. I'd have a smoke. I'd smoke and just, do my own thing. I'd get down, do some writing or some drawing or some sketching or whatnot, but I just didn't want to do that. Just not for me. And I'm not criticising that they did it, because they did it once, and these individuals, I won't name or shame, they're quite high power positions, not in like a government or something like that, but in their work, they're quite high up in it. It was one time type of thing, actually maybe 2 or 3. But they're not exactly, they're really far in life, like really far. So it doesn't mean that they're bad people. They're very decent, well down to earth individuals, to be honest. So, and but I've never heard them say that they can hear something or have an audio hallucination. But if that is, and again, listening to them, and I'd still say that that's like probably more 10%. It's nowhere near. It's not going to be the best thing that will ever happen is death. That is guaranteed. If you knew of not that, you would probably fear it. I think you'd probably be, oh God, I'm really scared of this, or perhaps anxious. Most people are like, no, you're not anxious, and then at the last minute, the hyperventilating starts coming, and all the rest. I think is. But an elevation as well. There's almost like a tunneling, like you're part of the story of you is here, and another part of you is atomically elsewhere. Like you are a splice of something. That this is not you. This is a good example of what needs to be you while you're here in order to cover your organs from getting too much within the environment, or mud or dirt or sand or grit inside your organs, and your bloodstream needs pressure and warmth, and you need a lot of these things here to be here.
Yeah.
But there you don't need these things. It's almost like it's a being buried in sand, and then the heaviness of it, the sand, when people are burying you up in sand on a beach somewhere, and then when you go to free yourself from it, and it's like, oh, I feel really light, and I feel like that's the kind of feeling of it. It's almost like, you're so restricted, like, so this is not your essence, like, and there's so, and the mind is so. The version of what you would understand that is sort of temporarily connecting into your mind.
Yeah.
The bit of you that is sort of connecting into your mind is, at best, it's powerful.
Yeah.
But to say that the brain is a powerful organ and it's all responsible, no, the brain is powerful at reading you. It's at reading that thing that is in that. And the heart is very good at reading that part of you, and the belly and the throat and the fucking nutsack and whatnot. For me, that's personally. For everyone else, a bit of vagina or whatnot. Yeah. So without, I don't need to embarrass you, but it's just the way it is. It's a feeling at the end of the day. These organs are very good at holding what you are, the essence of you. It's almost like the body reads this. The brain is not responsible for it. The brain is responsible for translating it. And it does a really good job. But let me tell you, it's shit, right? It's really good. I don't want to criticize the flesh, okay? Because it's really wonderful at what it does. At this, gives you this. But compared to that, my word, it's shit. It's like, But if you don't know before, you'll think that this is wonderful feeling. Well, I can assure you it's not, it's just not, it's almost like the body is just it's like a games console, the body. But the essence of you is the disc that goes into the games console. You're connected to this. It's not like a games console. It's weird. It's like you sitting in a car, and the car is like you don't know your true self. No one does. Right? Does that make your true essence? You have no idea what it is. Like, even though everyone tries to spend their whole entire lifetime trying to figure out life and figure out what they are, and they know what you really do not. You really don't know what you are. You can't say your true essence because it's so well hidden. It's the only way I can explain that, unless you're and it's quite reassuring to know that other people have gone similarly through this. So I don't think that they were the best part of departing the world, but they were close to it if something didn't intervene. And for whatever reason, it wasn't their time to leave. But it isn't memories. It isn't like memories taking over and your life's flashing before your eyes or anything. No, you're too distracted to know. Perhaps your memories are being collected at this particular time. You are a free vessel. You are a free vessel. Your vessel has been given to you, and the universe is saying, okay, I'm going to leave you with freeness. Teach me that you, the part of you that makes you you. And there's in with this what I understand as talk. It didn't sound like talk, but I knew what they meant.
Yeah.
Because they used me to communicate, but it wasn't like a voice that I'm familiar with, but using my inner voice. But it sounded like my inner voice became my outer voice, but it wasn't my voice. In with this, there were, oh man, just so much to...
Not easy to describe.
Perhaps if it spoke to me in a different way, I wouldn't understand it. So it had to tap into you in order to talk to you, through you, in order to for you to understand it.
Yeah.
So, does it know your language? Yes, absolutely. And it knows an awful lot. You know, and the universe, you don't even see the universe for its true form. It likes to hide things from you. Well, of course, because you might try and steal it. You might try and use it, capture it. Well, you can't capture an illusion. Even though you are here, you are. Your awareness is here. But that awareness is monitored, this all awareness. And it is far more cleverer than anyone would ever give it credit for. So, while trying to work all of this out here, it's like 0.1%. It's not even a percentage. It's very clever, isn't it? Don't you find this clever? Would you not marvel in it? And damn, it is such a shame that you don't know what I'm on about. Some people do, some people don't. I don't think everybody can handle it, knowing that. And there's a reason for it, I think, because, like I said, the depression side of it. And I'm fucking curious at the best of times. So, factor this in with this. It's very. It's just not it. I don't know. If I had a choice to do all of this again here in this sort of area, I won't do it. This I won't do. I think I'd have to be there a very long time in order to want to come and. I wouldn't want to come and do this again because it's got potential to be something that it's been transformed into, and it's for me, this is very sad. I don't. Without being negative, right? It's like, isn't it weird? It's like a positive and a negative, but it's also, there's still a lot of unknown. I guess I glimpsed at something, and I feel it more than, like I said, it took a while to sort of go away. So in the initialness of it, it was like, I do know. It's not that I don't know. So sort of like life is sort of going on every day, and it's sort of like you got little lows and highs and whatnot. And then as this moment now, like I said, I feel like it was like a week's worth of me. I trust what this indicates to me of what was going on with me. So I will take that as it knew, but not from here. It felt like this for me. I felt this like the more and more that week went on, there was like this dipping feeling, this really down and not very nice feeling, and to a point where it reached a certain level where it became so unbearable that it was almost impossible to stay in this current trajectory. It was just like becoming quite painful. Everything was out of rhythm. It was almost like everything in my body was losing synchronicity with itself. Things were just really, and it was becoming quite painful, quite low, quite very slow, very, very just everything was out of sync. And then on that particular day, something went like this. Like, man, like a rising after all of this dipping,
Yeah.
And life peaks and valleys, There were like peaks and valleys of like when you've got a cold or you're ill or you're sick or you're excited or you're happy or, depression or different sad feelings, scared or whatever it may be. Life was a bit more like this, but it really started to do this. Beyond this is horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible, and it's so if someone gets hit by a car, this is very morbid, but again, it's the only way I can compare it. It's like an awful lot of pain depending on what type of the accident it was.
Yeah.
And if they're in an awful lot of pain, it's almost like something says, how about now? So something begins to remove you away from all of that, because the brain is malfunctioning, the body's malfunctioned, the receptors are going beyond what they're meant to take. So your body is meant to take a certain amount of this fluctuation, but too high, too low, and I think then it's time to go. It's time not to be aware of being here anymore, So this triggers something on the other side. Call it what you want. And then there is just this down, and it's horrible. And then there is this fast, rapid transitioning. Just this from one to the other in a blink of an eye. Was I worried about this dippy feeling anymore? No, because something else was taking this awareness shifting started to happen, and awareness started coming over here. Whereas in my life, perhaps it had only peaked to about here before. Similarly to getting high, similarly to that when you haven't had it for a while and you start to feel that it's similar to that, but again, that's only going to get you around here. Yeah. This was beyond anything I've ever experienced. It just, and then, like I said, there were some things happening, and the doctor saved me and whatnot, and one particular doctor did, another one was a bastard, I'm not going to lie. He was he wasn't responsible for this, but he wasn't helping. And then over the course of many months afterwards, there was this sort of feeling, and each one should be marked with a experience that was, like I said, the colour and everything else, and this, that, and the other, and a feeling, like an overwhelming feeling that just sort of started settling back down to the human experience again, and these were turning off. In this, they were turning on at fast. But this lasted over a time, quite a time, and then sort of, started, then, the peaks and valleys of life again started to, and then, it's going to take a hell of an experience in life to top that.
Yeah, right, I can imagine that's a big spike there compared to the rest.
But it's almost like it's more lower than before. When you've been around some speakers, you've been around music for a few days.
Yeah.
I actually went to a rave once. One time in my life I went to a rave, actually twice. Never been, and I just wanted to know, I love speakers and music and, thudding bass, although, gotta be respectful for neighbours and stuff, but if I had my way, I would have a bass session every now and then, right, where I just like the feeling, the vibration is beautiful. Or a disco, some people will go to, I don't know. Anyway, so we went particularly to this rave, and it was fucking wonderful. I enjoyed all of that. I didn't take any drugs or drink. I just went there purely for the music. Other people, each to their own, whatever. I don't know whether they did, but there was a lot of rumour that people do that sort of thing. I particularly didn't see it, but it was good for my anxiety. Let's put it that way, because you could, put a hood up and whatnot, and no one was really checking you out.
Yeah.
Like, it's where you go to a club or something, people want to see ID, compare it up against, it's very intrusive. I found it too intrusive, right? Just that, and it just, anxiety, and, if you were wearing a hood in that environment, people would get, a little bit weirded by that, but it helps your anxiety being in that bubble in a hat with this, that, and the other, it just feels good. I'm not going to be doing anything bad to anyone.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to relax, but whereas that way, other people might not have that intention. And some people like that ruin it for a lot of other people. Just want to say that. But anyway, like when you've been to this, and let's say you've been there for a couple of days around this pounding music and everything, and then you come away from it.
Yeah.
It's like that vibration, that hum in the air, something's missing. That's never gone away, that feeling. Like there's more and it's gone. Not quite. It's sort of peaks and valleys. It's still present, right? It's nowhere near completely gone to what it was here, okay? But the reality now here, the awareness is too late. You've seen it, cat's out the bag, right? You felt and experienced something, and it was more than anything I've ever been through in my life, sort of thing. Like, now I don't know whether that's because I've been tarnished with a lot of stuff, living next door to neighbours threatening to kill me, my mum, and everything else, and that's been my born into the world sort of thing, and it's just been horrific, okay? Council involvement, write it down, mum, how it made you feel, and someone says they're going to rape my mum, they're going to kill my mum, they're going to do this to my mum, and then they're going to fucking kill you, you little cunt, basically, to me. Like, just shit like this, okay? And, I don't know if it's good, like, being through that sort of thing, that it really fucking sucked as a childhood, like, it really did. But you found the goodness in it, so you thought, and then something like this happens, and then it's just, it's like, you gotta go back to this bollocks again, you're gonna come back here and still keep going like this. I don't know, I don't expect anybody to understand, because it's my journey. At the end of the day, I'm entitled to my own opinion in my own life about my life and about the experience I have with this interaction of life. I have that right to say that. And if it sucked ass with the council and the police and the neighbours and shit, then tough shit, it did, okay? If you don't like to hear it, change your system. Do something about it for people, I don't know whether there's come changes nowadays, I'm not sure, but, do I experience that now? No, I got some lovely people there, that's a very lovely person. He's very nice, he's very, very nice. So it's not all doom and gloom, but as a kid perspective, it seems like it's going to be forever, right? So, but I'm lucky, I'm lucky with that. It's a beautiful thing about here. It's just that he's lovely. He is really lovely. It's almost like there's a lot missing. There's an awful lot missing. The hum is missing. I don't know what I was saying on there before then, but I don't know. Just I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain it. It's if you've gone through that, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I know I'm not. I just know I'm not. It's quite a it's something, isn't it? What was it for you to hear that? I mean, that sort of journeying. I mean, how does it?
Yeah, it is. It sounds so amazing. I don't have that. I've never seen anything like it myself, But I read even a long time before I met you. I read about people, because there was this book about life after death, it was called at one point, and there were people who were describing how they didn't want to come back, and so you can't imagine what they are describing, something beautiful, and everyone something else, but many of them said that they didn't want to come back, and that it told them that they still have something to do, or they are too young, or it's not their time, so they came back.
I think they're told an awful lot more than just that.
Yeah.
But I think if they're anything like myself, they don't tell you everything.
Yeah, but
you won't tell everybody everything.
But you are trying to
crazy, right?
explain that simply it's the feeling and everything that is so nice, so good, that coming back really like... Or someone said, I wanted to go back for my children, but if I didn't have the children, I wouldn't, But all people were saying that that's better.
Yeah. And it sucks that you need to have a near-death experience to experience that. Mm-hmm. But again, it is an experience. Mm-hmm. It's I think that it could potentially be one of the best experiences you're ever going to experience. Mm-hmm. The best is yet to come. So if that helps anybody who has lost somebody, and again, I can understand this if I've ever heard anybody. Mm-hmm. This subject never really fascinated me. I was always very, not skeptic, I wouldn't say that, because I'm open-minded. But, coming from individuals that highly believe in things, mm-hmm. I don't believe in what they believe. When I was I was very dismissive of it. Yeah. Well, what will be, will be. I didn't have an opinion, but when they really pushed me for an opinion, it was then probably a little bit more. I just don't think that is correct. And then this sort of shit happened, and then it's like, all right. I didn't really listen. It didn't fascinate me as such, but.
Yeah.
It did and it didn't. Mm-hmm. It's hard to explain it. Whether that is fear-based, you don't want to really, I did have some stuff when I was a kid, like sort of things with the coloration, but nothing like this. It's similar. Nothing like this. This is just like...
Yeah.
And it really helped me with, to deal with death. Because before that moment, it bit me up when... I think it does everybody, doesn't it? Your first knowing of someone close dies,
when grandparents or someone like that, that's when you wonder if you are a little bit older, then you starting to wonder.
But really...
Yeah.
It takes you a while to kind of find your feet in that. Yeah. And I don't think that a second one is it's not any easier, because it's just that same feeling, but with somebody else now, and somebody else and somebody else. But this for me really helped. It helped me to understand that someone that went through a harsh situation that would take matters into their own hands in that. That you can say that they're looked after, like they're in a. I don't know. It's cliche to say a better place, because it didn't feel like a place. It does and it doesn't. I don't know. Home is probably something that's more to the word, but and some people don't experience this, so. Unless I used up all of my DMT, I doubt it. I still am seeing daydreams. So that must be releasing DMT as well.
My mom doesn't remember. But she doesn't remember some time before when because she had head injury. So
that will do it.
So she doesn't remember even what happened, how it happened. Yeah. She doesn't know. So if some people saw it, they probably reported it and they called the ambulance or something. But she doesn't know if she fell, if someone pushed her, if whatever happened.
And this is by design. That most people are not to know about this, and some people are to know about it in order to help the masses understand that there is a right. Perhaps only some are by design capable of sort of living with it. Strength. You've got to have some strength in that. I can only speak for myself. I don't know if others find it quite. I don't know if other people can sort of. And I think you sort of tap into the essence of you and bring a bit more of yourself back. You don't bring back. You do. You sort of bring back a bit more of what you are, perhaps. Or whether you're able to capture a bit more of your essence and bring it back. And, some people can go through that and then they're like piano players or whatnot, but never learned to play a piano before, if you get what I mean. So, and I wonder if you grab that sort of insight, and it'd be interesting to find out from other people. Does it still guide you? Do you still feel that sort of guidance? Yeah. That sort of that's I've never really knocked with someone. It's not a subject you really bring out because people are kind of like, oh no, it's deaf, I don't like it, and I understand that, right? Because you probably are like, it's going to be hard to believe something like this, because at the end of the day, it's a belief for you. For me, it's a knowing. For you, if you've not gone through it, it's a belief, right? You can only believe that that's true, or you can believe that it's not true. And till it happens to you, well, I think then you know. You then know, but you can understand this from your perspective, perhaps with what you've heard other people saying, perhaps with what you've read a book. But you can understand it, but until it happens to you, then you'll be like...
Yeah, then you know, otherwise you don't know. Yeah.
And you can say that I know, I can say that I know something, but whether that is truly knowing, because you caught a glimpse of it, right? So how far into that did you go? That's a question. And is there more to walk into? Yes. So yeah, it's almost like transitioning from daydream to reality. That's how it is. That's how it is. When you go to daydream from one with your eyes open and back out the other. It's almost like that. It's almost like a transition, but it's different to that. It's different to that sort of area. Is you know that, but it's a lot different to that. It seems like it's elsewhere. It's the only way I can explain it. It's almost like you are atoms back to back somehow. You've got to turn around and face yourself, sort of. Or it's like you turn around into your real self. Like you spin around from one to the other, and you actually turn around and sort of look into that mirror that's behind you all this time. And it's interesting, isn't it? It's very interesting. So yeah, like I said, with Tivus and different things like that, what benefit would it do to humans to allow them to see it without the whole near-death experience? Tivas is nothing without the rest of it. Part of it, you know, I've a lot of my stuff I write where I'm very much a beast of reality, really. Why is that? Well, because I write part of it on a piece of paper and I keep it in my mind, the bits that need to go in there that make it what it really is, its truest essence. Yeah. So on all things that I've drawn or have made in that, like, sketching and doing on a computer and graphic design and stuff, if that's what it's called, yeah? Part of it is there in reality and the other half is in the quantum field. And I haven't combined them. I've not put them together. So, and it's weird because part of it works in the reality field as it is at the moment, but it's nothing without the rest of that. You've got to combine it. When you combine them both, it becomes even more mind-blowing. It's almost like, I like it because it's kind of, you get to see part of it, and then there's the other half that reminds you of part reality, part quantum, and until those two have been merged together, it's not its truest form. So, isn't that... It's almost like you've given a paper aeroplane. It flies and does all the rest of it, right? But you've kept the know-how of the motors to put on there, or a few propellers and a few flaps and this, that, and the other. And until it combines that, yeah, sure, a paper airplane may fly from one end to the other, but now when you add in the rest of this, it keeps going, right? You know, and if you were to add in a radio gear to it as well, you know, you then got a real, which still needs quantum to operate it. Which, you know, the mind says to do this, and fly it that way and whatnot. You know, the controller and that. So Tivas is like that. A lot of them are, but it's not got the rest of it to it, right? So it becomes an Easter egg. But when I look at it, I seem to see the whole thing together. And when you see it, you just see that. And think, it's either cool, or it's shit, or it's strange, or it's weird, or it's whatever it may fit with you. I don't know, right? At your interpretation of it. But I just often wonder whether your quantum mind would know what needs to go into it, or it's like making a code. That how do you break that code? Because I think that becomes quite important, right? Like there's enough there to get you going, but who could work that out? Do you find another person that's similar to you, or is that then someone who's sort of on your same page, or are you finding someone who's similar to, or your twin? Just because you're not born the same doesn't mean that you haven't got another twin out there, right? So people say twin flames. That's fascinating to me. Did you ever see a twin flame? I don't know. It kind of makes me feel a bit weird when I say twin flame, because I got twin. Well, maybe. I think I do. I don't know. Who knows? You never know. My family could have really big secrets, and that might not be my twin. You know, just put you together and say, oh yeah, you're twins, but perhaps have two adoptions of people of the same age. I'm not saying that is like that, but it could be a possibility, right? As the same way that twins get separated as well. So, as far as I'm aware, and I've been told, I have a twin, right? So, and I've grown up knowing no different. But anyway, just in case that might not be the way. But, yeah, and people say twin flame. I just find that a bit... For me, do you do? I don't know if you do, because it kind of makes it sort of makes it feel a bit, that's a bit weird. Like that you would join with your twin flame. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. That makes it feel a bit, ooh, okay. That's not a very nice expression for me. That to me, that's kind of a bit, I don't know. Because as soon as you say twin, I think of my sister. But they mean it in a different way. So all this, I was like, twin flame, is that like your, you know, a sister or a brother or something like that, that you would find someone who's like you. Because even the youngsters are identical twins. They're not even alike together, right? So even though they're identical, they're not identical. Not even to look at them, but other people say that they look the same. I say they look similar. Yeah. They're not truly identical, they are similar.
Similar.
And their personality, completely different, completely freaking different. If you can't tell them on looks, you'll tell them on personality, that is for sure. They do completely like different things. One has certain marking here, the other one doesn't. One's got a scar, the other one doesn't. I guess it's just because you're around them long enough. Different hairstyle, different this, different, you know. The personality is completely different. So yeah, but when I heard the first time, twin flame, I don't know, it's taken me a long time to try and desensitize to it, what it actually means. You know, find someone who is identical to you, I think.
But identical,
not identical
or
just compatible, highly more compatible.
Yeah.
I think it's the new age of saying things, isn't it?
Probably.
You know, if we have a planet full of twins, they probably won't be saying that. You know, we're probably saying something else. You know, like I don't know. Some people say soulmate.
Yeah,
Soulmates,
but others say that it's different than soulmate, so I don't know.
Well, it would then seem to me that twin flames would be argumentative and highly incompatible.
I don't know.
Oh man,
I don't know
twins
which is
the same thing, and they get on an argument. It's a grand old debate. It's grand. That debate is wonderful. It goes on and on and on, right? And arguments are always the best. I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win. No, I'm winning. No, it's not about winning. But there is competitiveness there, and not always. But so yeah, I don't know. If you were a twin, you'd probably think a twin flame is probably not it. Because you need yin and yang sort of thing, or soulmate. I don't know, I'm not knocking it, although it sounds like I am. I'm not really knocking it. It's just my interpretation of that. On your interpretation, the idea of that sounds very nice, I guess. Soulmate or compatible. To be compatible with somebody on that sort of level, on all the levels. Wow. Is that even possible on a world that's so divided? I mean, there's a lot of odds, right? That means you have to find someone, let's say, if you live in Britain, you've got to find someone in Britain who is near enough identical to you in personality, or the opposite too, don't have to be identical, but common interests, be the sort of same way, in a mental, sexual, physical, well, I don't know about physical, but you know what I mean, like, sort of spend as much time in the bathroom sort of doing the same sort of thing, but I don't know, opposites attract though, don't they? Some opposites do attract. Not all of them though. Some things, I think. It's okay to be different in some things, but if you were literally like the same things, go the same sort of places and sort of have the same sort of sense of humour and... Wow. What a fucking needle in a planet. Never mind a haystack, that makes it too easy. I just use a magnet. But no, it's like a needle in a planet, yeah? In a... No. Yeah, try to find your needle in a star. There you are. That's what it seems like to me, in a very divided planet. Your twin flame might not be here, it might be in another nation. Do you know what I mean? Might even speak a different language, and I don't mean it, they. Might even, they sounds like two.
Might be born 100 years from now, so we'll never meet or something.
That is a very negative outlook.
Not just...
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, yeah, very negative, yeah. It's how I feel about it, you know? You can't meet them in the UK, or they might have a different language barrier to you, and
or live on the other side of the globe or something.
God, it's very negative, isn't it? To say it like that, it's really kind of. You got to be hopeful, though. You got to be hopeful. You got to have hope or faith. Find your twin flame, and then would you even know your twin flame if outsiders seem to know what's best for you, or do they?
I don't know.
People very good at wearing masks. including myself, I'm sure, as like other people, perhaps, you know. Hi, I'm Terry, a heavy snorer. Sometimes I bitch about stuff. Sometimes I'm really happy, and it's right. You're on first basis, right? On a date, you're not exactly. You didn't exactly sell yourself on there. I was just trying to be honest. Yeah. It's like So I don't know. Do you get what I mean? Like sort of thing. I don't dress up around the house. I sort of let my hair go. Sometimes I get spotty, meaning that sometimes I don't. Yeah, so, so you got a lot to... Where do you draw the line between selling yourself and telling the truth? Honesty is the best policy? I don't think so. In that, I think, I don't know, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Where do you draw the line? I just get to know you. I like that. Yeah. How would you like to get to know me? Shall we chat for a bit? Okay, unless you're good at reading text and you can get a whole profile from me based on what I say. You must be a linguist somewhere. And then I put up all of those really good pictures, right? Not a hair out of place. Now, today, I look a bit more like, I don't know, not insulting him, but Einstein. He was very, yeah. He didn't care, did he?
No.
No, not about his hair. Maybe he did. Maybe he worked ages.
Maybe he was like, I'm happy that I am not balding. I have a lot of hair, so I let it show everyone.
Yeah.
Because I have nice hair. I have a lot.
The less time I spend doing this, the more time I've got doing my theories.
I
prioritizing, right? So I love Einstein, by the way. So I never met him, obviously, but just his works and what he done and how far he pushed humanity in that way, and his breakthroughs just freaking fascinating, really fascinating. But his hair is the iconic, isn't it? Yeah. Whereas Tesla's was more. He had time for his hair. Probably had a machine do it. There we are. There you are. So, each to their own. Each to their own. But yeah, so anyway, I'm going to leave this one here. I think I covered enough. Although this one's quite uncomfortable for me to talk about because you have to forego the labels an awful lot. You're crazy! Yeah, it's going to take this video before you establish that. I think you're late to the party. Everyone's drunk the punch. It was terrible, but they still drank it anyway. Do you know what I mean? Just don't accept it from her because you might end up in an experience like this. I'm just kidding. I shouldn't joke about very morbid stuff, but there we are. So yeah, I'm going to leave this here. Right there.